I'm glad.
Let me tell you, you are lucky.
You probably saved my job.
Well, you can thank me with some chocolate or something.
I'll send some over.
Rebecca Romney was a book lover. It even showed in her roles on Pawn Stars. She was calm, brilliant, and trusted by Rick Harrison himself. But in 2014, tragedy struck when a stolen book worth $40,000 showed up on the show. It was not just any book, and before long, the FBI got involved. Like everyone guessed, Rebecca became the prime suspect. 1 year later, Rebecca was gone. Now, 10 years after her disappearance, we have the untold truth about what happened to Rebecca from Pawn Stars. Join us in this video as we unravel the thrilling details. Rebecca's disappearance from Pawn Stars. By late 2014, a rumor began circulating that Rebecca Romney had been questioned by federal agents. According to the whispers, they wanted to know how stolen historical books could end up on national television without anyone noticing. It wasn't a far-fetched concern. Rare book thefts were already a known issue. In 2015, the FBI returned stolen books to the National Library of Sweden, and back in 2005 to 2006, they arrested Forbes Smiley for stealing millions of dollars worth of rare maps. Rebecca was never accused of any wrongdoing, but some say the questioning shook her. She had built a reputation on sharp judgment and trust. Now, suddenly, people were questioning that very expertise. Then came January 10, 2015. Rebecca appeared in what would quietly become her final Pawn Stars episode. She appraised a pirate book from 1734, valued it at $1,000, and Rick, true to form, haggled it down to $400. And just like that, she was gone. After 4 years and 19 episodes, there was no goodbye, no on-air announcement, no explanation from the History Channel. Fans noticed immediately. Forums filled with questions. Was she fired? Did it have something to do with the rumored scandal? Others whispered that she had left because of a personal tragedy. Nobody knew for sure. Some fans blamed her disappearance on growing criticism of the show itself, accusations of staged deals, exaggerated appraisals, and behind-the-scenes drama. But then people noticed something strange. Even though Rebecca had vanished from Pawn Stars, she never removed the show from her LinkedIn. To this day, she still lists herself as the show's rare book expert from 2011 to present. Some say it's just clever branding. Others believe it's tied to a non-disclosure agreement that prevents her from explaining her exit. Whatever the reason, her name remains connected to a show she hasn't appeared on regularly in years. In 2016, she packed up and moved to Philadelphia. Officially, it was a promotion. She left the Las Vegas gallery and became senior director at Bauman Rare Books, overseeing library acquisitions and catalog projects. Later, she worked in Brooklyn, then eventually settled in Washington, D.C., where she co-founded a new rare book company. So yes, there was a reasonable career explanation for her departure. But the timing still made people raise their eyebrows. Was it really just career growth, or was something else happening behind closed doors? Why did Rebecca disappear from Pawn Stars? Keep watching to find out. The untold truth about Rebecca's disappearance from Pawn Stars. Then, in 2022, fans finally saw her again. In a special episode of Pawn Stars Do America, she rejoined the team in Washington, D.C., and appraised another pirate book. Her chemistry with everyone was exactly the same. She teased Chumley, she joked with Corey. She looked completely at home, which only made her long disappearance feel even stranger. In 2016, Rebecca also married someone who shared her passion for books, J.P. Romney, a historian and author. And what made their story even more unexpected was JP's family connection to one of the most recognizable names in American politics. He's distantly related to Mitt Romney, the 2012 presidential candidate who won nearly half of the nation's votes. Through her marriage, Rebecca found herself loosely connected to a political dynasty that included former Michigan Governor George Romney, who served from 1963 to 1969. But despite the family ties, she has never met Mitt Romney. The connection was real, but distant, more a name than a relationship. At the time, her fame from Pawn Stars was still fresh. Between 2011 and 2015, she had appeared on the show multiple times, even appraising a rare 1507 map valued at $1 million. But by 2023, her marriage had ended. JP was now her ex-husband, and fans began speculating whether politics had ever played a role in her journey. Rebecca, however, insisted that her career in rare books had always been entirely her own. The year after her marriage, she and JP surprised the literary world with a co-written book, Printer's Error: Irreverent Stories from Book History, published on March 14, 2017. It wasn't just a light read. Across 368 pages, the book uncovered strange and forgotten moments from printing history, forged copies of Galileo's work, Charles Dickens's 1840s battles over copyright, and even the mysterious Gutenberg Bible of 1455, which never actually mentioned Gutenberg by name. Only 48 copies of that Bible survive today, each valued at tens of millions. The book combined Rebecca's real-world expertise with JP's storytelling skills, and it worked. Critics praised it, sales were strong, and it gave her a rare accomplishment: a respected voice in the literary and historical community beyond reality TV. Despite public curiosity about her marriage and its political connections, Rebecca has drawn a firm line. She almost never speaks about the Romney name. In a 2023 interview, she made it clear that she's never even met Mitt. The distance, both personal and professional, couldn't be clearer. She has 2 children, though their names and ages remain private. How did Pawn Stars become so famous? Was it because of Rebecca? Keep watching to find out. Early life of Rebecca Romney. Rebecca Romney was born on April 6, 1985, in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Her passions were languages, ideas, and deep conversations. She dreamed of becoming a philosopher or a translator, not someone who would one day authenticate million-dollar texts. At 18, she went off to college expecting a quiet academic life. By 22, she had mastered 5.5 languages: English, French, Japanese, Latin, Ancient Greek, and even a bit of Old English. She pushed herself relentlessly, studying up to 12 hours a day. For one exam, she translated an ancient Greek papyrus from 300 BC and aced it. Her professors were stunned. That same skill set would later help her spot forgeries that might have cost collectors fortunes. Between 2003 and 2007, she studied philosophy and classical studies at Brigham Young University. While her classmates picked safe majors, Rebecca was debating free will in 4-hour seminars and unraveling ancient texts in their original languages. She loaded up on extra courses, kept a perfect GPA, graduated with honors, and wrote a thesis comparing 2nd-century Greek fragments of Plato's Republic. Nobody realized it at the time, but Rebecca's unusual mix of philosophy and ancient languages was quietly preparing her for something extraordinary. In 2007, right after graduating, she made a mistake that would change her entire life. She applied for what she thought was a simple management position at Bauman Rare Books in Philadelphia. But when she walked into the interview, She realized she had misunderstood the job posting. It wasn't a management role at all. It was for a rare book specialist, a job she knew absolutely nothing about. She almost turned around and walked out. Instead, she stayed, told them the truth, and admitted she had zero experience. Somehow, she got the job anyway. Her deep knowledge of languages caught their attention, and that was all they needed. Within just a few months, Rebecca found herself handling books worth more than most houses. A Shakespeare First Folio from 1623, a page from the Gutenberg Bible, and first editions of Newton's Principia Mathematica. She had jumped into a world where one mistake could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. How did Rebecca move from store management to a national TV show? What tricks was life playing? Keep watching to find out. How Rebecca got into Pawn Stars. By 2010, only 3 years later, she was promoted to gallery manager in Las Vegas. She was just 26. By 2013, at age 29, she became the youngest senior director in the company's history. In that role, she oversaw catalogs, auctions, and private sales totaling more than $10 million a year. One of her clients even bought a 1472 book for $300,000. She wasn't just good at selling rare books, she was spotting forgeries that other experts missed. This was when Rick Harrison began picking special interest in her. Rick Harrison didn't find Rebecca through a casting call or talent search. He already knew her. When she joined Bauman Rare Books in 2007, they opened a Las Vegas location, and by 2010, Rebecca was running it. Rick had been running gold and silver pawn since 1989, and the rare book and antique world in Vegas was small. Their paths crossed naturally through local events, mutual contacts, and a shared love for history. So when Rick needed someone who truly understood old paper, not just books, but documents, signatures, handwriting, he didn't ask the producers to go find an expert. He simply picked up the phone and called Rebecca. That call led to her first Pawn Stars appearance in 2011. She didn't show up as a hired TV personality. She came on the show as someone Rick already trusted behind the scenes. Their friendship actually grew after filming. They even went on double dates. Fans watching at home had no idea that the calm, book-smart expert on screen wasn't just a perfect fit. She was handpicked by Rick himself. When she first stood in front of the cameras in Season 4 on April 4, 2011, she was handed a stack of Civil War-era documents. One was a Confederate bond from 1861 that could have been worth $5,000 if it were authentic. She studied the texture of the paper, the ink, the printing method, every detail. In under 10 minutes, she spotted a forged signature that instantly dropped the item's value from $10,000 to just a few hundred. Viewers were hooked. She spoke with calm confidence, quietly cross-checking details as the cameras rolled. By the end of the episode, she wasn't just another guest expert. She was the book lady, and she stole the show. Ratings jumped by 15%. From that moment on, whenever the pawn shop got anything made of paper, books, letters, historical documents, Rebecca was the first person they called. Between 2011 and 2020, she appeared in roughly 30 episodes, with her busiest run in the first 4 years. During that time, she appraised everything from a $2,000 replica of a 1493 Columbus letter to an original broadside of the Declaration of Independence valued at $15,000. In 2013, Rebecca shocked everyone when she authenticated notes connected to Edgar Allan Poe, notes hidden inside a manuscript people had dismissed as worthless. She even evaluated 19th-century slave trade documents and explained how to assign monetary value to items so painfully tied to history. By 2014, she was handling almost 3/4 of all the show's paper-related appraisals. Some of her calls were tough. She once exposed a fake Shakespeare folio someone thought was worth $10,000. It wasn't even close. What was the discovery that solidified her name as an expert? How greatly or badly would it turn out? Keep watching to find out. Rebecca's greatest pawn, Star's exploits. What really made her unforgettable wasn't just her knowledge, it was the way she delivered it. Rebecca never raised her voice, never seemed shaken. She could reveal that a $50,000 book was actually part of an 1800s forgery ring and still sound like she was explaining the weather. That steady, calm clarity became her signature style. While other experts played up their excitement for the cameras, she stayed level and focused. One of her most memorable saves came in 2012, when Chumley almost lost his job. He had bought what he believed was a signed copy of Charles Lindbergh's 1927 autobiography for $500, after mistakenly calling him Mark Lindbergh. The whole shop thought the signature was fake. Rick even warned Chumley that if the autograph didn't check out, his next day off would be permanent. Rebecca stepped in once more. She pulled out an authenticated sample and compared the signatures, explaining how Lindbergh's autograph changed over the years as his fame grew. The copy Chumley bought, it was real. She valued it at $1,500, triple what he paid. Not only did the shop make a tidy profit, but Chumley also walked away with his job intact. One tiny signature turned a near disaster into one of his rare victories. Another time, someone walked into the shop with what they claimed were Revolutionary War bonds, documents they believed were worth a fortune. But once Rebecca took a closer look, the truth turned out to be much stranger. These weren't revolutionary at all. They were Confederate, and not just rare. They were missing. These bonds had disappeared after the Civil War ended in 1865. They were tied to stolen Southern assets that had been loaded onto the USS Republic, a ship that sank in a hurricane that same year. When the wreck was discovered in 2003, divers recovered some of its corroded contents by 2005. These bonds were part of that lost history, potentially worth around $50,000. But they also came with serious legal complications. Selling stolen artifacts, even ones lost for more than a century, could drag the shop into court. The police got involved, and Rebecca's careful research kept the pawn shop from making a deal that might have turned into a legal nightmare. It was a reminder that history doesn't always arrive without consequences. Then, there was the day someone came in thinking they'd struck gold, a Shakespeare First Folio from 1623. Authentic copies of that book have sold for millions. One even went for $9.98 million in 2020. The seller's copy looked convincing at first glance, but once Rebecca examined it, the problems became obvious. The paper hadn't aged properly, the ink looked too clean, and it lacked the tiny imperfections that real 400-year-old books always show. She suspected it was a fake, possibly modeled after the infamous false folio of 1619, a misleading collection assembled by William Jaggard and Thomas Pavier. Even those are valuable, but this copy wasn't close. If Rick had bought it, the shop could have lost thousands. Rebecca's sharp eye likely prevented one of the most expensive mistakes in Pawn Star's history. Did Rebecca only reveal fakes? What other good could her skill bring? Let's find out. The pawn that changed everything. Sometimes, the items brought into the shop were completely authentic and incredibly powerful. That's exactly what happened when someone walked in with a first edition of On the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. Published on November 24, 1859, the book sold out on its very first day. Only 250 copies were printed. Rebecca didn't need long to confirm what she was holding. The green cloth binding, the diagrams, and even the advertisements dated June 1859. All the signs were right. She knew instantly that it was real. Her valuation, $75,000. Darwin's book changed the world. Its impact on science and religion was unlike anything before it. Not even Copernicus or Newton caused a shock this big. Some first editions, especially copies with Darwin's handwritten notes, have sold for over $500,000. Later printings aren't nearly as valuable. For example, the 1862 edition, where Darwin removed his odd whale bear anecdote, is worth around $9,500. But that first printing? It was the one that rewrote history. And the copy sitting in the pawn shop was the kind of treasure collectors spend a lifetime hoping to find. Between 2011 and 2015, Rebecca became a fan favorite. One of her most talked about moments was when she evaluated a first edition of Frankenstein. The book was worth $20,000, and the fan reaction was just as big. Online forums lit up. People started calling her the Book Whisperer, and she quickly gained tens of thousands of followers. Fans begged producers to give her more screen time. Some even asked for a spin-off series centered around her expertise. But behind the scenes, things weren't as perfect as they looked. In 2014, an episode aired that quietly sparked one of the strangest and most unsettling rumors in Pawn Stars history. A man came into the gold and silver pawn shop claiming he had a rare 1841 edition of the Book of Mormon. Rebecca examined it carefully and estimated its value at $40,000. But the seller wanted $100,000. After some negotiating, Rick Harrison managed to buy the book for just $24,000. On the surface, it looked like another solid deal for the shop. But soon, things began to fall apart. Rumors started spreading that the book had actually been stolen from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah. Not long after the episode aired, whispers online claimed that federal agents stepped in. According to these stories, the FBI seized the book and left the pawn shop empty-handed. There was never an official statement, and no public charges were filed. But the rumor kept growing, fueled by Reddit threads, blog posts, and YouTube videos. What about Pawn Stars? Does it connect to Rebecca's disappearance? Keep watching to find out. The Pawn Stars Show. Pawn Stars is an American reality TV series aired on History and produced by Left Field Pictures. Filmed in Las Vegas, Nevada, it follows the daily operations of the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop. A 24-hour family business opened in 1989. The shop was originally run by patriarch Richard Oldman Harrison, his son Rick Harrison, Rick's son Corey Big Hoss Harrison, and Corey's childhood friend Austin Chumley Russell. Debuting on July 19, 2009, the show quickly became history's highest-rated series and the second most-watched reality show on television, behind Jersey Shore. The series focuses on the staff interacting with customers, buying, selling, and pawning artifacts, while haggling over prices and discussing the items' historical backgrounds. Narration is provided by either the Harrisons or Chumley. It also highlights interpersonal conflicts among the cast, leading some reviewers to describe it as Antiques Roadshow, hijacked by the Tutul family from American Chopper. TV Guide called it one part Antiques Roadshow, a pinch of LA ink, and a dash of cops. The show has become a global phenomenon, broadcast in 150 countries and dubbed in 38 languages. The concept for Pawn Stars was developed by Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines of Left Field Pictures. During a weekend visit to Las Vegas in 2008, they were struck by the city's eclectic and sometimes seedy pawn shops. They realized these shops could be full of unique characters and began searching for a family-run shop to base a TV series on. That search led them to the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, located less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip. The shop had already drawn attention. It was the subject of a 2001 PBS documentary, and its manager and part owner, Rick Harrison, had spent 4 years unsuccessfully trying to pitch a show about the shop. The store and Rick had also appeared in the 2003 Las Vegas episode of Insomniac with Dave Attell. The show was first pitched to HBO, which imagined it as a taxicab confessions-style series filmed at the pawn shop's night window. That idea didn't stick, and over time, the concept evolved into the family-focused format viewers know today. History Channel president Nancy Dubuck picked up the show as part of a push to create more mainstream programming, balancing out the network's heavy lineup of military documentaries. Originally, the series was called Pawning History, but a staffer at Left Field suggested Pawn Stars, a name that better captured the Las Vegas vibe and was far more memorable. To fit the network's brand, the show added on-camera experts to appraise the items brought into the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop. But the personal drama among the cast? That was left untouched, giving the series the mix of expertise and entertainment that made it a hit. Did Rebecca's removal from the show end her notoriety? What else keeps her voice relevant today? Let's see. Rebecca's most recent achievements. Rebecca went on to edit a science fiction anthology called Projections in 2020, deliberately keeping the spotlight on the stories, not herself. Many believe her silence is a conscious choice to avoid political baggage and maintain neutrality in a world where rare books connect her with collectors from all walks of life. She didn't just leave reality TV, she left it with a plan. In 2019, after years on Pawn Stars, she co-founded a rare book firm called Type Punch Matrix in Silver Spring, Maryland. This wasn't some quaint antique shop tucked away in a corner. It was a statement. Alongside her partner Brian Cassidy, she built a business that defied the traditional antiquarian world. Their inventory wasn't just expensive, it was daring. Shakespeare folios, Gutenberg Bible leaves, and titles that were not only rare, but revolutionary. Within a year, they were selling to elite clients, moving pieces worth hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions. In a field dominated by older men, Rebecca stood out, sharp, confident, and unafraid to challenge the rules. And that fearless streak, it didn't start with Type Punch Matrix. In 2017, Rebecca teamed up with Heather O'Donnell to create the Honey and Wax Book Collecting Prize. Every year, they awarded $1,000 to a woman under 30 who had assembled the most original and surprising book collection. They didn't care about the price tags. What mattered was the meaning behind the books. In 2023, a tattoo artist won with a hybrid collection of botanical works. In 2024, a national security analyst took the prize with a military-themed set. Rebecca had noticed something troubling. Women were passionate about collecting books, but often hesitated to call themselves collectors. The prize changed that. Backed by Biblio and Christie's, it gave these women visibility, credibility, and a genuine place in the rare book world. By 2025, the award had honored 9 women and inspired countless more. That same year, Rebecca released Jane Austen's Bookshelf on February 18, 2025. But it wasn't just a book. It was a literary bombshell. She tackled what she called the Great Forgetting. exposing how women writers who shaped Austen's world had been erased from history. Authors like Frances Burney, Anne Radcliffe, and Charlotte Smith had once been bestsellers with print runs in the thousands. Today, most of their works are out of print. Rebecca didn't just name the problem, she documented it meticulously. Only 10 to 15% of 18th century novels by women survive today, compared to 40% for men. She presented the evidence book by book, number by number, and readers took notice. The New York Times called it sharp and fearless. The Washington Post called it thrilling. The Guardian called it instinctive and electric. In just a few weeks, it sold over 20,000 copies. And what surprised people most? Rebecca admitted she hadn't even heard of most of the women she wrote about, not during her degree and not during her years as a rare book dealer. She had read the men, Richardson, Fielding, but she had never read Charlotte Lennox or Maria Edgeworth, even though Austen herself had. That realization hit hard. Her entire education had quietly erased these voices, and if someone like her hadn't noticed, how many others had missed them too? So she began collecting. In 2015, she set out to find original editions by the women who shaped Austen. Frances Burney's Evelina from 1778, Radcliffe's The Mysteries of Udolpho from 1794, Charlotte Smith's Emmeline from 1788. These books weren't easy to find. Many had been lost or dismissed as sentimental or frivolous simply because they were written by women. How did Rebecca hope to find these women? How daunting was this mission? Keep watching to find out. Rebecca's quest for equality in the literary world. Rebecca traveled to auctions, scoured estates, and once battled rival bidders for a 1759 copy of The Female Quixote by Charlotte Lennox. By 2025, her collection had grown to over 50 rare books, each one a resurrection. But she didn't stop at collecting. She used the books as evidence, tracking how many were printed, how many survived, and how critics had treated them. She discovered that women's works were far less likely to be preserved, reprinted, or taught in schools. Radcliffe had inspired Poe, Shelley, and the entire Gothic tradition, yet her work was largely excluded from the literary canon. Burney sold 3,000 copies in the 18th century, but had faded into obscurity by 1850. Through these patterns, Rebecca revealed that sexism wasn't just present in reviews, it was baked into the very survival of literature itself. Rebecca Romney's story doesn't begin in a hushed, dusty library. It begins under the neon lights of a Las Vegas pawn shop, where she first appeared on television as a rare book expert. And yet, from that unlikely beginning, she rose to the most exclusive rooms of American bibliophilia, one of them being the Grolier Club in New York. Founded in 1884, the Grolier Club is the oldest and most elite society of book collectors in the United States. Only 825 people worldwide can claim membership. And yet, in May 2025, Rebecca will be standing there delivering a lecture titled Jane Austen's Bookshelf, Collecting as Investigation. That talk traces back to a single moment in 2023 when she stumbled across a Victorian edition of Evelina by Frances Burney. That book changed everything. It set her on a path to uncover the women who had inspired Austen, but were mostly erased from the literary canon. She isn't just recounting literary history, she's actively rewriting it. Since 2015, she's also been a cornerstone of the Antiquarian Book Seminars, where over 100 aspiring rare book dealers gather each year to learn from her. Rebecca doesn't sugarcoat the world of rare books. She openly discusses the Thomas J. Wise forgeries of the 1930s, a scandal involving more than 50 fake first editions that fooled experts for decades. She teaches that collecting isn't just about owning books, it's about uncovering hidden truths. Her lessons reveal the fingerprints of authors forgotten by history, including Bernie, whose 1778 novel sold 500 copies and helped lay the foundation for Pride and Prejudice. Rebecca's work is why these overlooked authors are finally being recognized. She's also changing how rare books are authenticated. In 2019, she co-founded Type Punch Matrix. But it wasn't just another antiquarian book firm. By 2023, she was pioneering the use of AI and blockchain to verify provenance, testing the system with a $50,000 Sylvia Plath manuscript. The software could trace ownership back to 1956. This leap wasn't accidental. It grew directly from the frauds she exposed in her 2017 book, Printer's Error, which detailed forged books such as fake Gutenberg Bibles from the 1840s. What do you think about the untold truth about Rebecca from Pawn Stars? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for staying till the end. We hope you found inspiration from Rebecca's dogged determination to lift up the voices of women in literature. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel to catch up on more interesting stories like this. See you soon!